Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. Tuesday, May the 2nd, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and our old buddy joins us down from Florida, Bryce. It's been a long time. He's enjoying some relaxation, some R&R. It was a long grind. You know those ECHL seasons with Kalamazoo, with any team, really. The bus rides, the trips, a lot of games in a condensed period of time throughout the season. It's a grind, believe me. He's earned the time off. He's earned the chance to fucking whoop it up. And he's down there in Florida doing just that. Ray, what's going on?
Not much. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's nice to be in the sun here. I know back home they got like a foot of snow this week so far already, yesterday and today. So
what, in Michigan? Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we don't even have that.
I'm glad I'm not there. It's 87 and sunny here, so I got a little sun this morning. Actually, starting to get fried a little bit. I gotta stay outside.
I could use some sun. I'm white as a sheet, white as a fucking ghost. Casper the Friendly Ghost is Ian Cameron. As you can tell, look at this. I look awful on camera with this white pasty ass skin of mine, but it is what it is. Can't do much about it. I can do something about it because I'm working my fingers to the goddamn bone. September to April, I can't get outside as much as I'd like. But now the summer's here. Sports are going to calm down a little bit. We'll be able to get some sunshine and some rays and some vitamin fucking D and all that good shit. I'm looking forward to that. But Ray, first of all, congratulations, man. Sportsmanship Award with the Kalamazoo Wings this past season here. Mr. Classy. We were just talking before the show. Were you expecting that at all? Was it something? Yeah, I thought I was going to get that, or was it just something out of the blue? It's like, wow.
I won that same award my senior year. I don't know if, maybe I'm not as deserving as I think. I don't know, but yeah,
I think we know a little for that side of Ray at times. I would concur.
Yeah, but I told my buddies it's an in-season award, not out of season. So
that's true.
But yeah, I won that award. My
performance from now until like August or September. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be winning that thing, right?
Yeah, I won that award my senior year in college too, Michigan Tech. But I guess it's kind of a humbling award or whatever. But think it's a little bit special that people think of it that way. So. Yeah, I guess you could say I was a little bit surprised, but I'll take it, I guess.
There you go. Exactly. That's that. You know what that tells me? Regardless of if you expected it or not, people think highly of you in the team. Your teammates think that of you, and it's pretty cool still. So congratulations, Ray, with that. Just quickly on, you felt you had a pretty good season this past year. Obviously, you felt your game got better this year. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, I felt, I thought I grew in a lot of areas. My points are actually I had the same stat line as last year, same amount of games played. Everything is kind of crazy how it worked out. I don't know how common that is, but yeah, I felt like, my play away from the puck and, my chances, I thought my exit meeting went well with the coaching staff, and, they thought that I improved. I was up for the most improved award too. One of the players, 3 players up for that. So I thought my game got better throughout the year, and just creating chances, and like I said, I thought my play away from the puck was a little bit better too, and got better as the year went on, and and play with the puck. I think that was probably the area I improved is just creating plays and chances and off the rush. So I thought the staff did a good job of development with myself over the year, and I'm thankful for that, and yeah, looking forward to next year, I guess. So just keep getting better, and better every day is a motto that we kind of had in college, and I think that's a good way to live. So,
and that's the way you do it, and especially in your case, you're battling to stay in the position you're in. So it's all about, and if the coaches, the coaches help me a lot help you a lot in your situation, but at the same time, if you continue to work at it and refine things in your game, you're going to be able to continue to push forward and improve. So, that's always the goal. How about improving with your NHL Stanley Cup playoff bets? How's that going? How's the playoffs going? Here's your chance to basically speak on about anything in the first round that either you liked or pissed you off or whatever.
Yeah, the only thing that really kind of pissed me off, I thought the reffing was kind of poor, honestly. I didn't think – I thought the reffing, like, there was a lot of missed calls and calls that, were made at untimely times during the games that, I think they should have let go. And other than that, I feel like the playoffs, they were really good. I thought that Florida-Boston series took on a life of its own, and you get the best team in NHL history points-wise and win-wise, and they kind of blow it. It's pretty disappointing for them. And I watched the Devils-Rangers last night, and what a series that's been. I think me and you, Ian, were even texting. Like,
you did, yeah.
Yeah, the Devils, we were saying, like, early on, they're screwed. They're young, they're inexperienced, and good to see them find their game. And, those young guys are playing well. What a hit by Trouba, by the way, last night. Holy cow. Get off the tracks, my friend. Oh, that guy's coming through. Wouldn't want to get hit like that.
Jacob Trouba gets the reputation that because it's Jacob Trouba, everybody assumes every hit he lays is dirty. It's headhunting, it's predatory. And if you actually look at that hit last night, and that's a good place to start bringing up the Devils, recap that game last night. Just congrats to the New Jersey Devils. Whenever you think that this young team, is going to fold the tent, and I thought that not that they were going to completely collapse last night, but I thought the Rangers' experience would be the difference in Game 7, and it wasn't. The Devils were the team with poise. The Devils were the team controlling the neutral zone as well. The Devils were the team getting to the inner slot area. They flashed up a graphic during the game last night. I think it was in the second period. Do you know that 11-1 in inner slot shots in that hockey game?
Yeah, I thought they
position. The Rangers didn't.
New York had a really hard time sustaining pressure. Every time they dumped the puck, I thought New Jersey's D and forwards did a good job of coming back together and getting out, breaking out pretty easy. Like, there was only 3 or 4 shifts that I can remember in that game where, I thought that New York sustained pressure, but the Devils, every time they would get, I thought they entered with possession, they always sustained pressure. So I thought that series was really good. And Vegas and Winnipeg, it was an all right series. Obviously, Winnipeg was dealing with some injuries. And, if you look at it the other way around, that's like missing Eichel and Stone and some of those guys, their top players. It'd have been a different series the other way if they were missing those guys, right? Yeah. So it's tough for Winnipeg. It's tough when you have injuries like that. Obviously, Rick Bowness didn't seem too happy.
No, he was not. No,
with his
he's going to be back.
Top guys that are playing.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah. So I thought that series was all right. LA and Edmonton. Edmonton. It just seems like they have that will. I think they kind of the same thing last year going. LA
they lit up a good defensive team. Do you know how fucking scary that is moving forward for Vegas or any team that plays Edmonton? LA is a good defensive hockey team, and they were lit up by the Oilers.
Yeah, I thought LA did a good job, in the first couple of games controlling McDavid and Draisaitl, and those guys weren't even really a huge factor in the way that they can be. They were still a big factor, but in their potential. And I thought Edmonton was just the better team, honestly. And looking back, LA, like you said, LA is a really good defensive team, and it's going to be scary for whoever plays Edmonton, in the next couple of rounds if they make it. A couple of Minnesota and Dallas. That was a good series. That
made our guy Alex B. Smith very happy. That series,
yes.
Yeah. It was a good series. I thought, it kind of expected Dallas to maybe run through a little bit, but I thought Minnesota put up a good fight. I just don't know if Minnesota's got that top end skill yet. Kaprizov is their really only stud. Maybe
show with a complete ghost in that series. Very disappointing for Matt Boldy. And someone said on Twitter too, Matt Boldy had one terrific month where he was on fire. What was it, March or April? I think it was March. He had that incredible month of March. And really outside of that, regular season was up and down, and then the playoffs he did jack shit. So he's a 1 month man.
So I thought that in the West, I think that's everybody in the West, right?
Yep.
I'm missing somebody.
I know you're thrilled that the Leafs finally broke the curse.
Yeah, shit. I actually don't mind.
Ray is no Leafs fan. He ain't gonna be going.
I just don't like I don't like the Leafs fans. I was watching it at a restaurant, and I got a bunch of Leaf fans in Nashville screaming behind me, running around. I'm like, "You guys just won the first round. You didn't win the cup. Shut up!"
Right.
Come on. I don't care if you like look at Jersey. It would been 9 years after they won last night, and they weren't jumping around like. It looked like Sheldon Keefe had won the cup. He's jumping up and down.
Do you see how high he got? He should go in the high jump in the Olympics with that fucking high jump of his.
Like, come on, you guys! It's the first round, right? I get there's a curse, but maybe they think this is their year. But I really like John Cooper and I like Tampa, but I think they just ran out of gas. 3 years in a row going to finals is a grind on your top guys, and at the end of the day, that game could have gone either way again, and Game 7, anything can happen. But I really didn't think Tampa was that far out of it. And New York, New Jersey, we talked about that. Who else we got?
Devils. Or no, Carolina.
Yeah. And I think Carolina is going to be scary too. Like the Islanders are a really defensive team. I thought the Islanders gave them a little bit of trouble, but it'd be interesting to see how the Canes will do. I didn't keep a close eye on that series, honestly. I think the Islanders are so boring to watch.
Yes.
But yeah, and then the last series, who do we have in the last series? Is
to our guy Goose, who's a big Leaf fan in the chat, and he's saying, we have a chance to celebrate, and we're asked. Well, I'm going to give them this opportunity. Normally, if you're jumping up and down that much winning a first round series, there's issues with that, getting that excited over it. But for them, in 19 years, they hadn't won a series in high definition television. Okay, they hadn't won a series in the Twitter era. Twitter wasn't even around the last time they won a playoff series. So I am actually going to be, not Mr. Nice Guy and say if they want to go crazy and celebrate like that after beating Tampa Bay, good on them. I'll give them that, because it had been that long. But if they do this shit every year after winning a first round series, that's different. But it had been such a long time that
I agree. Just it's just
fun.
like the win with class and lose with class, right? I think it's kind of I those fans behind me are just like screaming. I'm like, you when you haven't won the cup, you haven't won anything. If you get,
I get it. Yeah, I mean, for a first round reaction, that's a fucking huge reaction for just winning the first round. But if there's one franchise that's afforded that opportunity to get that excited over a first round win, it's them.
And I think too. I was gonna say, sorry, just to interject quickly. I think too, because of the fact that it wasn't such a clean win, that they almost completely blew it. That's probably more of the reason why it seems a little bit excessive. If they won that, like I had them to win in 5. If they win that, and I honestly believe they should have won that series in a quicker fashion, because that, like you said, Tampa Bay was just completely toasted. But the Leafs let them get some life and momentum, and I think that would have been cause for that bigger celebration. But like you said, just getting that off of their backs and not having to hear anybody talk about the first round curse anymore. That's a big thing for Leafs fans. So it's understandable on both ends. But at the end of the day, like I said, you shouldn't be celebrating like that if you win the second round. That's for sure. The next time you celebrate that big is when you actually have the cup in your hands.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good point. Second round, keep it in check. You've now that you finally got the first round monkey off your back, now it's about winning the whole thing. Especially now when you're the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup, which the Toronto Maple Leafs now are at plus 350 right now to win the Stanley Cup. Toronto and Edmonton, man, it's the top 2 favorites right now. So an all-Canadian Stanley Cup final is certainly a potential. So we'll have to wait.
Not in Gary Bettman's era.
That's the thing. Somehow, some way, something will trip up maybe one of these teams here, in the next 2 rounds, possibly to prevent that from happening. But just to close the thought on the Rangers Devils, look, Rangers are going to have to make some changes. I think in the offseason, like it's just going to be difficult to keep this group together, especially the high-priced talent, the offseason acquisitions. What happens with Kane, Tarasenko? What happens with some of their other higher level talent? They got to remember that they've still got some guys to pay with expiring contracts in the next year or 2 as well. So it's very disappointing. The Rangers loaded up. That's exactly what they did at the trade deadline, and to go out in the first round against a team that had a piddly amount of experience in the playoffs, as opposed to you, and plus, you thought Igor Shesterkin's not to blame. This is not at all on him. He played a very good series. This is the guys in front of him just didn't get it done. And I thought
Kira Schmid was a stud. That guy was playing in the USHL 2 years ago.
He's got one hell of a great glove hand. We're finding out. Man, he's just snaring out that glove, and Panarin and Kane.
I think he just reads the play so well. Like you watch him, he knows where. And like, not to say like Trocheck had a good shot, but I think like Zibanejad had a one-timer. I don't know if he got all of it. I didn't think the Rangers generated a lot of chances. Like, obviously I thought he was good, made all the saves he should, and stopped maybe one or two he shouldn't. But I don't know if they really tested him that well. Like we talked about inner shot slots and a lot of goals in the NHL come from inside that house.
Okay, that's hustle. That's heart. That's hustle. That's will. That's how bad do you want it?
And the Rangers were turning the puck over nonstop.
Yep.
And Kane was non-existent last night. Lafreniere non-existent the whole series.
No points for
their top.
Disappointing.
Their top guys were.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'd love to see New Jersey win a cup. I think those young guys.
Is that the team that's got your heartstrings the most now moving forward? Now that we're into the second round, is that the team you'd be most excited about seeing win it all?
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite, honestly. I wouldn't mind. I like McDavid. I think like the comparables to him and Crosby. I think you can really start to compare him if he wins a cup. I think he's the best player in the world. But until you're a winner, you're really not. Your individual stats are great, but you still have it's a team game, right? So it'd be cool to see him win one. I think the way that he presents himself on and off the ice too, he does a good job.
He follows in the Ray Bryce mold of sportsmanship and being classy.
I wouldn't say that.
But
I wish I could be an ounce of him.
Well, keep on working at it. That's all I can say. Keep on working at it.
But Panthers in Boston.
Yep. Oh yeah, you haven't even said shit about that yet. You're right.
Yeah, what a disappointing.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Monty, first year as a coach. That's best team ever in wins and points.
Well, I don't want to hear shit about best team ever or best season ever.
Best regular season.
An even bigger joke that they were compared to the Montreal Canadiens in the 70s. First of all, there's Hall of Famers left and right. That's number one. Number two is that team actually won Stanley Cups. That team actually won playoff series and got the fucking job done in big time situations against good opponents. This team.
My thought is like Boston. I was telling my buddies just like they never really have been tested, right? Like when you win like that, you don't have adversity. Florida, they had to grind their ass off to make the playoffs. They're in playoff mode a month ago, right? Yep. Like they came ready to play. They should have never won that series, but I thought they did it. They clawed their way back and.
Matthew Tkachuk and Brandon Montour, MVPs of that series for Florida. They
Absolutely.
Incredible.
I was telling you, like, if Florida has a chance to win, Tkachuk for the Conn Smythe.
Yeah,
I didn't
Montour
end up taking that
future. If you really want to get nuts, Florida can beat Toronto, win the East, and get to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, Montour, I don't know if he's going to keep up that kind of clip, but my goodness, he might because he's having an unbelievable season. He's jumping up in the rush so often. His shot has gotten so much better. This year, I mean, I think he's actually outperformed Ekblad. And it's not like Ekblad's been bad, but it's just that Montour's been better.
And Ray, you mentioned that about with Tkachuk for the Conn Smythe. I actually saw somebody put like $25 on a 15,000 plus 15,000 for him to win it before Game 7. So that's a hell of a grab. If you're taking a shot in the dark, and that's the thing about we talk about that more and more now as we get less teams heading toward the final. Sometimes your best bet isn't necessarily taking the team to win the conference or the cup. It's to take a player to win the Conn Smythe because chances are for them to get to that point and win it, they're going to need player X or goalie X to come through.
Yeah. No, I think I've said that like whoever makes it out of the West, I think is going to win the cup because their path is easier than the East. Like, I don't know. Like the East is such a juggernaut. Like, look at Boston; they're struggled. That was Florida technically the 8th seed?
Florida was
New York, yeah. So like the 8th seed beats the 1 seed in the East. Like that's how good that conference was, and I don't know if the West is like that. And Maybe I'm wrong, but
The West playoffs just got more intriguing to me after this first
Right.
round with Boston
and
out,
this
Tampa Bay out. Yeah,
and Seattle.
yeah.
We didn't really talk about them either.
Knocking
Deepest
off
team though in the playoffs.
We've said that, Ray, in this series that their third and fourth line. Look what they got from Yanni Gord and Morgan Geekie and Bjorkstrand
Right.
and all these guys. They all
Bjorkstrand was
stepped up and
a
scored.
player
What did Colorado get from Malgin and O'Connor and Alex Newhook? The hell happened to him? This guy has shown great glimpses of offensive firepower for Colorado. Did absolutely nothing. I didn't even think he got a fucking shot on goal or a chance or two.
Right.
Like Newhook. That was extremely disappointing from him.
Yeah, Ray, the analogy I used was that, Colorado was just cooking their chicken with salt and pepper, and Seattle had the whole pantry at their disposal seasoning. So that's pretty much the way I looked at it.
Yeah, and obviously Grubauer had something to prove, right? It's his old team.
He wanted to stick it to the man.
So Seattle's deep. I wouldn't count them out either. They may have a tough task here coming up, but.
There's a very intriguing matchup in that series, which we'll get to in a second when we break down each series coming up, and it's going to decide the series. And I'll save it for when we get to Dallas and Seattle. What we're going to do with the series previews, by the way, and I want to say one more thing too about the Boston situation. And Ray, if you want to hint on it, what do you think is going to happen with Bergeron? We kind of think it's over. He looked like someone that is leaning toward retirement with his emotional hugging with Marchand and Krejci, the two guys he's been with the longest on that Bruins team. And if this is the way he goes out, it's a tough way to end, but an unbelievable career, an unbelievable captain, unbelievable leader.
Hall of Famer, no doubt.
Of course. Yeah.
I would think that he retires just based on his injury. Like when you're that old, it's tough, right? You're injured, like herniated disc. It's probably getting tough on him. What a warrior and a player though. Probably the best two-way forward of my generation, that's not Crosby. So what a classy guy, what a true leader. But I think he's done. I just looking at his career and you make it, you're that good and that's probably your best chance and it fails like that. It stings a little bit harder and it's a little bit harder to try it again, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's like I say, it's would be a tough way for it to end for Patrice Bergeron if it does indeed mean this is the end for him, no doubt. But all right, it is time to move forward. That was a great recap. Ray hit every series there. Good stuff with Ray hitting on every first round. But let's get into what we're going to do is we're going to start with just the overall series previews for the two series that start tomorrow. That's where we're going to begin right now. So we will start with the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes. That series will begin tomorrow night. Right now, we've got New Jersey around a -120 series favorite, despite, in this situation here against the Hurricanes, despite not having home ice advantage. We've got the New Jersey Devils a -120 favorite here in this series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Very interesting to see how this one is going to end up playing out. But I will say this right now about the Devils. I mean, here's the thing about this series going into it. I think New Jersey's live. I do. I think they're live in this series. I am disappointed that the odds makers are in lockstep with me in that belief, because that's the issue here. Is I was thinking we're going to get plus money with New Jersey. At least I didn't expect Carolina to be an overwhelming favorite, but I expected this to be the other way around. I expected Carolina -120, -125, New Jersey in that +100, +105. But no, the roles are reversed with New Jersey not having home ice advantage. So it's a value question for me. Do I want to pull the trigger pre-series with the New Jersey Devils, -120, -125? The Canes do have issues, though. They have some injuries up front, Svechnikov and Teravainen. Of course, Pacioretty's been gone for a while. I haven't even acted like he's been part of the team. He's been out for that long. But Teravainen and Pacioretty injuries are concerning. There's no question about that. If you look, by the way, also at the defense here, it was very good against the Islanders. But the Islanders weren't bringing much offense, much depth, much firepower to the party now, were they? In that series against the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, that's going to fucking change in in a split second here facing the Devils. With the waves, they can roll out with their forward group. I mean, who got the party started and who got the offense going for the New Jersey Devils last night? It was Michael McLeod, a depth forward for them. So this is a much more difficult, different challenge here for the Carolina Hurricanes defensively. They're a great defensive team, so maybe they're adept to handle it, led by Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce, Brady Shea has had an outstanding year on the back end for Carolina, but they will be tested a lot more by New Jersey in this series. And then I'm hearing Rod Brindamore saying, and this I don't like necessarily, back and forth, both goalies could see starts in this series for the Carolina Hurricanes, Antti Raanta and Freddie Anderson. I'm not sure I love that, especially when Antti Raanta, was playing well. They put Anderson in, of course, later in that series. And, how's that dynamic going to play out? Can someone get in a flow, get in a rhythm game to game? I understand the need to have two good goalies, and sometimes you need two goalies, but if you're going to alternate, and it sounds like there's a potential at least that Rod Brindamore might alternate Raanta and Anderson in this series. I'm not sure I love that idea necessarily. So the way I'm going to go about this is because what I'm going to do is I'm going to not bet the series price. I can tell you right now that in game 1 and in game 2, I will be on the Devils and the draw in a split in both games. And the way I see it is if I lose in game 1, I'll probably come back with an even bigger Devils and draw split in game 2 because I don't think they're losing both games in Carolina. Number 1, they're too good on the road this year, the Devils. And number 2, we saw what they did against the Rangers, right? On the road, won 2 of the 3 road games at Madison Square Garden in that series. So that's my approach: is Devils draw split in game 1 and in game 2. You'll get a decent price there with both. And I will, and if by chance Carolina wins game 1 coming up on Wednesday night, then I might jump in with the Devils for a series price at an adjusted price, which would be a better price at that point. So that's my approach. I like the Devils, and it'll be a good series. I think it'll be a great chess match series. And everyone's talking too about, and including me, about the Carolina defense. Don't sleep on the Devils' ability to defend. Look what they just did to the New York Rangers, who failed to score a single fucking goal in New Jersey in the last 2 games of that series, game 5 and game 7, the 2 games in New Jersey. They didn't score a goal. And Akira Schmid is playing with some extreme confidence right now in net for the Devils. So they're very much capable of winning this series. It wouldn't shock me if they do, and that's the way I'm going to approach it. I'll jump in on Devils series price if they lose game 1, but I don't want to lay it at this number. Alex, what do you think there? Devils Hurricanes.
I think this is going to be the most chaotic of the series remaining in the second round. And I know everybody's talking about the defense and Carolina's goaltending and the emergence of Akira Schmid. This series is going to be bananas. And I think we're going to be grabbing value early with the over 5.5, which I'm already seeing at plus 115 at BetMGM. I can't remember the last time I seen a plus 115 on over 5.5. It has to be, at least 6, 7, 8 years ago almost. Because we hardly see 5.5s anyway. So everybody's assuming that this is just going to be a lockdown kind of classic playoff series. I think it's going to be the opposite. And I think it's because of the fact that you mentioned, and to mention the chat as well, New Jersey's transition game is unreal. And the fact that they were able to, at times, outskate the Rangers with all of that speed, that's troublesome for Carolina with the injuries that they're suffering and the fact that they don't have that potent offense that they once did, even earlier in the season, let alone the last previous seasons. Carolina can't really hang in a boat race with New Jersey. And I think New Jersey can play that style and take it to them. And that's the way that you beat Carolina and get that momentum, especially starting the series on the road. So I like over 5.5. If Carolina happens to win game 1, like I said, that's when I'll jump in for New Jersey in the series. But I expect chaos. I wouldn't be shocked if we see 4 goalies play in this series since Carolina's already committed to going back and forth. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a night where, Schmid gets lit up and Vanacek has to come in. I think there's going to be a lot of goals. I'll be looking at overs in this series, at least at the beginning. And I think we'll see that momentum from New Jersey kind of carry over and dictate the pace of game 1 and if not game 2 as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I really am interested here to see in this matchup, Devils and Hurricanes too, who on the 3rd and the 4th line is going to step up offensively for Carolina. It's fine and dandy you didn't get much from them against the Islanders because the Islanders couldn't put the puck in the ocean for much of that series.
Yep.
That's going to be the question mark. And look, the number 1 penalty kill in the playoffs so far belongs to Carolina, but that was an anemic, that was probably the worst power play that in the playoffs that they were matched up against in the New York Islanders in that first round. New Jersey's going to throw a little bit more at them. Let's just put it that way, as far as having the man advantage. So and remember, there were instances this year where Carolina's penalty kill slipped a little bit, especially in the second half of the season. So it's not going to be a walk in the park for Carolina defensively or when they're shorthanded like it was against the New York Islanders. That's the major takeaway for me.
And the big thing, too, on the Carolina is that Rod Brindamore is a bright guy who can make decisions and changes on the fly in a game and in a series. Unlike Gerald Gallant, who probably get left at LaGuardia the same way he's got left at a couple other airports when he got fired for not just changing up the style and being more creative offensively. So, Schmidt's going to see much better chances, I believe, from Carolina. The shot quality and selection will definitely be improved from what we saw those last few games from the New York Rangers.
What I'm shocked by about the Gallant point about failing to adjust is he finally, midway through Game 7 last night, put the kid line back together. Hedl, Kakko, and Lafreniere. It's like for more speed on the ice. And I'm like, well, where the hell was that? Why are you doing this just now? Where the hell was this earlier in the series when it could have made a bigger difference? You're down already 2-3 goals in Game 7, and here you are. Now you're doing that. Now you're making these changes. It's just, it was,
sounds like another coach in the Eastern Conference who waited too late to make a change.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking at you, Jim Montgomery. Exactly. And by the way, the news came out yesterday. Allmark had a really bad, debilitating injury, said Kevin Weeks, and still ended up starting right into Game 6 in that series, which was just bad job by Boston, gauging that whole situation. Ray, what do you think here? I know you grew up a Devils fan. What do you think here, Devils Hurricanes?
Yeah, this is going to be a good series. I think it'll be a bit of a track meet. Like both teams transition well. We talked about Carolina's got a couple injuries. But they both can skate. I think like it's going to be wide open. I really like that over 5.5. I don't know. Maybe the bettors and the bet setters, they know more than me, but to me, it's just, I feel like this series is going to be wide open and it could be a track meet. But you never know. These Game 1s are always interesting. I feel like Game 2 is the easiest to bet on because you get the series filled out or you're filling out your series or whatever. But it'd be interesting. I think this could be the most fun series to watch, I think, in the second round. Just due to the firepower. And I think that New Jersey's going to keep that same lineup that they had last night for Game 1 here. And it'll be interesting. Overall, I'm really struggling to pick who's going to win this. I think it's going to go 7. I don't know. It's tough because both teams played completely different opponents too, right? Like the Devils did really good with a Rangers team, veteran-laden, high offensive power, but I didn't think their stars shine for New York. And then you look at Carolina, who played a super defensive team with no offensive firepower. So maybe New Jersey's happier that they're probably going to see a more similar team than Carolina did in the first round, but I think the series could go either way. I was surprised to see the Devils without home ice at the minus, like you had said, Ian. Overall, I would think for me, my gut tells me Carolina, but it's up in the air. I can't sit here and pick one or the other. I think it's going to go 7. And watch, I'll probably be wrong, and somebody will sweep out right for rip. But
hey, there's never been the playoffs are always, there's going to be moments where it's there's going to be series that throw you for a loop, totally unpredictable. But this playoffs in particular so far, I mean, we've seen several instances of unpredictability already. Boston getting bounced by Florida, Colorado getting bounced by Seattle. There already have been some massive stunners here in the opening round. Tampa Bay even, because just Toronto had never won a series. So definitely some surprises, and this will be a good series. Great, like I say, great chess match between these two teams. All right, the other series that will begin tomorrow night with Game 1. So we're just talking about the series in general right now. West semifinal, Edmonton Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights. This is the series I'm most excited about here in the second round. Honestly, I think with Vegas's great 4 lines of depth, and they're 6D, which is terrific. This is going to be a good test for Edmonton, even though I think I still like Edmonton in this series here. Edmonton, odds makers like Edmonton, minus 150 here. Series favorites. Again, we've got a team that does not have home ice advantage, favored in this series. And I think some of that, too, is the product of the road team dominance in the first round. I mean, road teams were just winning left and right in the first round. We saw, 2 of the 3 game sevens won by the road team in the first round. So the road teams did well. I think when you look at this Oilers and Golden Knights series and the way it's going to shake out, obviously, look, Leon Draisaitl, man, took over the mantle as the top player in that first round for Edmonton over LA. For as much as we all love Connor McDavid and what he can do, what Leon Draisaitl was able to do was absolutely phenomenal for the Edmonton Oilers. Just at both ends of the ice, the goals, being that one-timer that he's had, the points that he put up in that series, just extremely impressive. McDavid and Draisaitl, look, when they are on their game, you're not beating the Edmonton Oilers. And what I'm amazed by is at one point in that LA series, Ray and Alex, you know what their power play numbers were against LA? And LA's a good defensive team. 9 for fucking 15, 60% conversion rate on the power play. That's sick. That's unreal. That's unprecedented that a power play is that good. This is, at least in my life, I'm 38 in a few months. In all my years, 30 years now watching hockey, I don't know if I've seen a power play have a single season better than this one from the Edmonton Oilers.
Who makes that power play go around, though? I'm going to shock you. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Oh, right. RNH. Okay, the Nuge.
There was a stat put out when McDavid and Draisaitl are on the ice for that power play. They score 7.7 goals per 60 minutes of power play time. Or
wow.
The stat was per hour.
Yeah.
With RNH on the ice, they score 14 point something.
Oh, wow.
It almost doubles. That stat doubles when RNH is on the ice.
Holy shit. Ray came prepared for this show. Look at that stat he's throwing out there.
That was...
And, you know what's amazing about that stat? He actually had a quiet series against the LA Kings in the first round, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I think for a 100-point guy, I just expected probably a little bit more out of him in that, but they didn't need it because Connor and Leon are dominating. Evan Bouchard quarterbacking that power play has been incredible. His point props, Ray, it's been some of the best profits for me these whole playoffs. Just betting his prop every single game for the Edmonton Oilers, and I'll probably be doing that more in this series. So that's going to be, and look, we're talking about a good Los Angeles Kings team that couldn't shut down that power play. And if you look at Vegas, here's the concern, guys, only 19th in the NHL with their penalty killing during the season. And, that's concerning. Okay, that really is. And that's, I think, going to be the difference in the series because it's easy for Bruce Cassidy, who's a great coach, who is, I'm sure, feeling a little bit better today, knowing he's still in the playoffs and his old team, the Boston Bruins, aren't. But if I'm Bruce Cassidy, he's going to say the same shit that every fucking coach says to Edmonton when they play Edmonton. Stay out of the box. Stay out of the penalty box. Don't take penalties. You can't, or else we're in big trouble. But the problem is you can say that all you want till the cows come home. Stay out of the box. But you are in a position where when you play that team and their speed and Connor's, incredible, through the neutral zone speed and Leon Draisaitl finding the open areas when you think you've got him defensively contained, that draws penalties. I don't care what you say. They are incredible at drawing penalties because they just move the puck so quickly. They outthink the defenders on the other team with their IQ and their playmaking and their skill. And so, you could say all you want, stay out of the box, but easier said than done. I do think Vegas, though, like I said, with their forward depth is going to give Edmonton a battle in this series. Like we saw Edmonton win in 6. It wouldn't shock me if this is 6 games again for Edmonton. Hell, it could even go 7, but I do like Edmonton to survive it and advance in this series. I think one thing to keep in mind, too, with Vegas is their forward depth when you look at it. Like they've got guys like Phil Kessel, Teddy Bluger, Paul Cotter was a good player for them. Pavel Dorofeev was a good player for them offensively in the second half of the season. You know what those guys are going to be doing in this series? Sitting their ass on the bench, riding the pine. They can't even get in the lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights, those guys. They got, because of all the depth they've got up front, especially with Stone and Eichel back now. So you've got Barbashev, Eichel, Marchessault, Smith, a resurgent William Karlsson, who has found his offensive stroke again here in the playoffs, Michael Amadio, Brett Howden, Chandler Stevenson, an incredible series, too, from Chandler Stevenson. Wow. Did he ever play well? Mark Stone. Carrier, Nick Waugh, Colasar, a fourth line with some punch. The six defensemen, like I said, Whitecloud, Haig, Hutton, Theodore, Petrangelo, Martinez. At the end of the day, that's a really, really great group of 12 and 6, 12 forwards and 6D. Laurent Brossoit is the thing that's going to make or break it for Vegas. If he stands on his head, which he was excellent in the Winnipeg series, but let's be honest, Winnipeg is not going to come after Vegas like Edmonton will. What will Laurent Brossoit have in his repertoire for an encore? That's going to be the critical moment in this series. And I think he'll play well, but I don't think it'll be enough. I like Edmonton in 6 or 7. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an exact series result, Edmonton in 6 and Edmonton in 7. Win one, it's going to be a plus price. Same thing with just the overall number of games in the series props. In 6, in 7. And I did that a lot in the first round, and it paid off well because we had a lot of series go at least 6 or 7. That's what I'm doing here. 6 or 7. If one of them happens, we're profitable. Alex, what do you think here? Oilers, Golden Knights.
It's funny. People would never believe that we don't share notes before the show. Like we truly don't. But I have the exact same thing as far as series going 6 games, series going 7 games. I'm splitting a unit between those two. I'm not even taking a side with Edmonton or Vegas. This is going to be a great series. And I lean with Edmonton. Chances are I would probably, if I look at anything, I would probably try to grab Vegas and Edmonton each to win game 1 with Edmonton winning the series. That's something you can get at BetMGM. I saw that at BetUS. I think there's a couple series where that's kind of a decent look. I think this is one of them. So have basically both sides to win game 1, leading to Edmonton to win the series. That's something I might dabble and play tomorrow. But as of right now, I grabbed series to go 6 games at plus 200 and series to go 7 games at plus 210. I just split a unit between those two. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the X factor, obviously, here is going to be the goaltending. Which goaltender can hold up and outlast the other? I mean, we talk about how well Skinner has played, but he's been logging a ton of minutes. And this is the time where, any younger goalie or goalies, having their first year as a full-time starter, you wonder about the fatigue and the workload. Can it mount and bring a guy down? It has happened at times in the playoffs. And it's something you just have to kind of be cognizant of. Same thing with Vegas and Laurent Brossoit, even more so because it wasn't like he was the starter the entire year. He just kind of came back from an injury. He missed basically the first half of the calendar year, up until December, January, and he finally coming back. Still kind of battled with some injuries, had some conditioning time in Henderson, and then came up and took the reins over when everybody else was hurt. So, maybe he's the fresher option of the two between him and Skinner. And that we have to see, but I also just trust Skinner as a better goaltender overall. So that's why I'm not really hot committed to either side. I just think this is going to be a long series and definitely be back and forth. It's definitely be a great in-game betting series. I think there'll be plenty of chances for Next to score, especially when you talk about Edmonton on the power play. And let me say this too, and I'll talk about it more tonight on the betcast. Now's the time where I kind of increase my range of what I'll play live. So I have no problem laying 130, 140, even 150 on a next to score prop now, where in the regular season, I'm always waiting for something $1.15 or cheaper, $1.20 or cheaper. I'll expand that range now, especially when you talk about a team like Edmonton on the power play. Laying anything 150 or cheaper when they're on the power play is a bargain, the way that they're cashing right now. So I'll definitely be, altering my live wagering style in the last 3 rounds as we get through the playoffs.
I'm just looking to see how Vegas again in the regular season was bottom half of the league penalty killing. I'm looking to see what it was in the series against Winnipeg, and I'm looking at it, guys, with Vegas's penalty kill against Winnipeg. Even in that series, they gave up a power play goal in every game. They did, and that's Winnipeg doing that to them. That to me is what I can't. That's what I cannot get. I can't get over that hurdle to make a case for Vegas to win this series. When I see that, they gave up a power play goal in every series against Winnipeg, and they're facing a power play that's 1,000 times better and more potent here. One of the great power plays of all time in the Edmonton Oilers. So they better stay out of that box because I think Edmonton's probably going to light it up on the power play just like they did against the Kings. Kings are a great defensive team, and Edmonton's power play still did a tap dance over them in that series. Ray, this should be a good one. What do you think here, Edmonton, Vegas?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Alex here. And similar to New Jersey, Carolina. I'm not 100% sold that Edmonton's going to win outright, especially with that price. We're talking about Vegas and penalty kill. I don't think Vegas is that bad on the power play though either. They've got depth, and I think with that home ice advantage, they'll do a good job of. I think their bottom guys can play against McDavid and Draisaitl, and maybe they'll try and match some of their top guys against Edmonton's bottom six, who isn't as deep, and maybe get those home ice advantage matchups. And I also think this series is going to come down to goaltending. I'm not sold that either of these guys are deeply experienced goalies. I think, and it's happened in the past with Edmonton's goalies where they've kind of fallen asleep in the playoffs. And every year Edmonton needs a goalie. Edmonton needs a goalie. So.
Hey, I'll say this about Skinner, our guy, Stuart Skinner, is that he was still better than anything they got out of Mike Smith and Koskinen in the last few years. So
I agree. Yep.
That
100%.
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind Vegas in the series, but I do think Edmonton does have the edge.
Yeah.
I think Vegas will take them deep, 6 or 7. I think that's a good bet to put in. Overall, just Edmonton's firepower. We'll see, though, if Eichel can kind of come alive. And I don't think he was bad. I thought he was good in the last series. But if he can have a spectacular series and kind of match, what Draisaitl and McDavid are able to do, I think Vegas can really put on a show here. And they've proved that they can make it. And they've got guys from all over that with experience: Martinez, Pietrangelo.
Yep. Cup winners. Yep.
Yeah, yep. Mark Stone's been deep. Carlson's been deep with Vegas. Like those guys do have some playoff experience. So their goaltending is the only thing that scares me. I think Edmonton's going to win, but I'm not 100% sure on that either. So
great coaching matchup too, because I think both coaches know what the hell they're doing. And Bruce Cassidy is a great coach. I've always believed in him as a head coach that he can get the job done. And I think the world of Jay Woodcroft. I mean, this guy he's a smart thinker. He's an intelligent man. He speaks very articulately. I mean, he's one of the better press conferences. He's following in the same trajectory as Paul Maurice in terms of quality of press conferences. He gives you so much info and insight and opinion. And his analogies are just out of this world. I mean, the one he had about McDavid saying, when you see it every day in practice, it's kind of like living next to the foot of Mount Everest. You just see it and you're not even in awe anymore because you see it every day. But yeah, I mean, definitely it's a great series. It's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But we're also looking forward to the 2 series taking place tonight, and we will get to them. The series and game 1. We'll splice together our thoughts on both for Florida, Toronto, Seattle, Dallas. The 2 series that begin tonight coming up in just a moment. 168 live viewers. Hit the like button. Back to talk about the 2 game series that begin tonight right after we hear from Gramco.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Gramco. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta-8 THC products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta-8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. Gramco is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta-8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code IceGuys, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta-8 products today.
All right, we are back here on the Ice Guys, and it is finally now time to get into game 1 and the series for tonight. And we've got the Florida Panthers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Game 1 starts tonight. By the way, the series price is a little bit higher than the game 1 price. I mean, we're up to minus 180 now in a lot of spots with the Leafs and the series price. The game 1 price tonight, minus 170 for Toronto as home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. We kind of hinted at it yesterday. Bad spot versus bad spot. Who do you trust more here tonight in this spot, because you got Toronto off the first series win in 19 years for the franchise. We know how immense it was and significant it was for them to finally get that job done. Can they wheel back around here and turn around quickly for a game one and a fresh opponent, brand new series, and play their best? That's a question mark. And I think it's an even bigger question mark, though, for Florida. Okay, because they just finished Sunday night with the Boston Bruins, the biggest upset, in recent Stanley Cup playoff memory. And now they have to turn around less than 48 hours later, start this series, and have the annoyance of, crossing the border, which obviously not as bad as it was during the throes of the pandemic, but still, a little bit of a ordeal that still is. And now having to play here on a Tuesday night against the Toronto Maple Leafs in game one. So I do think this is a Toronto series to win, but I want to caution Leaf fans who seem to think this series is over before it started. It's amazing how many people think we didn't get Boston, we're going to roll through this series now. Florida's going to be a tough out for Toronto. This is another 6-7 game series bet I made here. The series to go 6, the series to go 7. And if one of them hits, I'm a winner. Again, a plus price with both. I think it's a long, tough series. I like Toronto to win it, but I think it's a long, tough series, just like Tampa Bay was. And Tampa Bay, still carried the play for a lot of that series against the Leafs. And Tampa Bay's got the kind of size, the kind of, big bodies that, Florida has the same. In fact, I'll give credit. People shit on this guy all the time and laugh and say, what a silly guy he is sometimes, especially all the years when he was on NBC. But I heard a Pierre Maguire segment yesterday when he was on Montreal radio, and Jimmy Murphy, our guy, was on that same show with Mitch Melnick. And Pierre Maguire made a great point, actually. Florida's a big team, especially down the middle, the size they have with their centermen. And I think it wore down an older Boston team a little bit down the middle in that series as well, especially when you factor in Bergeron and Krejci. Their top two centers are in their late 30s and weren't even 100% health-wise. And that's another point Pierre made. A bigger factor as to why Boston lost. There's the older centers down the middle, all in their 30s. Every single one of the Boston 4 centers were in their 30s, and 2 of them were less than 100%. Bergeron and Krejci. So that really was a negative for the Bruins, and Florida leaned on them. And Florida's got that potential to do that here in this series. But here's the issue: they can run around in their own zone. Their penalty kill is still not good. Okay, Toronto's power play, I think in the first round against Tampa Bay, it came through when it had to when you look at that series. And I think if this becomes a special teams battle, it's advantage Toronto. There is no question about that in this series. I think that'll make a difference here in the end. I'm going to have a little bet on Toronto -1 here in game one at a plus price at Pinnacle with that instead of the obviously the money line price. You could go regulation too, but like I say, in the playoffs with overtime always being a potential, I like having the security of the -1, or at least sprinkle it between the -1 and the regulation bet on the Leafs. But what I really like here is I like over first period, over full game. I think it's going to be that kind of start here between these two teams where, you got Florida off the Boston series. You've got Toronto off that Tampa series. And remember, every Toronto-Tampa game went over the total until we got to the elimination games. I think you're going to see a similar pattern here. I think there's a lot of transition opportunities and transition abilities that both teams have that they can exploit. It's another battle of Russian netminders, just like it was in the Toronto-Tampa Bay series, Bobrovsky and Samsonov. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not so convinced Bobrovsky, is going to be able to play at a high level consistently. I think they won that Boston series in spite of him having a few wobbles here and there. They scored a bunch of goals for him. They took advantage of a Boston team that totally underachieved defensively and with their own goaltending. So I think it's going to be a potential for quite a few goals. And if you look at Florida versus Toronto during the regular season, particularly the Bobrovsky starts, you did see some overs. So that's what I'm going to go with here. My favorite bet for sure is the 2 totals here. First period over, full game, 1.5, full game over 6.5 here with the Panthers and Leafs. Alex, what do you think here, Florida, Toronto?
From a series perspective, I wouldn't bet monopoly money on either of these teams to win. I mean, you can't trust them. They are untrustworthy. And if this was if somebody was talking about this on Twitter, and I was like, that's a great point. If this was reseeded in previous years, I'd probably have 2 of the biggest bets of the postseason, if not the whole year, fading Toronto and Florida against Carolina and New Jersey. But I said, the way it works out, they play each other. And like I said, these are a combination of two bad spots. So I like the draw here at plus 350. 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two teams, including 3 or 4 this regular season, have gone to OT. Like I said, I think we do see goals, but I think we can wait and grab them live on the betcast. I think we can grab that 1.5, actually at a 1.5, and at a decent price, and 6.5 down to 5.5. I think we'll see a little bit of a timid pace in the first few minutes, and then things will start to open up more, and then we'll see the transition game kind of approach. Definitely would like the second period over as well. That's probably something maybe I'll put in pocket, but definitely will have when we're on the betcast tonight. It's a great betcast game, but as far as series goes, I'm probably not looking at anything in the series at all. This might be a full-on passive from now, and I might try to jump in the middle of the series.
Great night to have this game and this series on the live betcast for sure, especially for Alex. He's more interested in the live parts for this series. As far as the shots on goal props, there's a lot I like. Brandon Montour. Barkov started shooting the puck more in terms of shots on goal in this game tonight. Matthew Tkachuk is never a bad option as far as the shots on goal is concerned as well. So there's some good shots on goal props tonight. Those are the ones I'd focus. Bennett as well for the Panthers. And then for the Leafs, I would look more so Marner, Tavares. Those two guys in particular, the 4.5 with Matthews is always a little bit dicey. I think it's a better, more positive expectation, higher win percentage chance with guys like Marner and Tavares. Really shot attempts were high for both of those guys in the last round. So not bad looks there as far as shots on goal are concerned. Again, if you're looking at Montour to get a goal or a point, why not? And don't sleep on Morgan Riley. And I'm pissed off I did not jump on his all of a sudden is resurgence or surge offensively from the blue line for Toronto. But he scored a couple of huge goals for them in that Tampa series. He's shooting the puck a ton from the blue line right now. Now, some of that was the product of Vasilevsky being in net and the word that got out that he was weaker against point shots. But Morgan Riley found some offense big time for the Leafs in that first round series. And, he scored multiple goals in that series. And I think that alone is why at plus 500 for him to score a goal tonight, that's not a bad look. That's not a bad option if you're looking at a bargain bin here. Ray, what do you think here? The series and game 1, Florida-Toronto.
Yeah, I'm going to lead off with this note. Do you remember Tampa when they lost to Columbus a couple years ago? And they got swept. Look what happened to Florida last year. They got swept last year, and now they've come back and they've beaten the best team, was supposed to be the best team in the league this year. I wouldn't sleep on them. I still think Toronto's the favorite. I just think they're too good, but this is another series. This playoffs
sounds like you're an
weird.
Alex B clone here. No, I wouldn't bet Monopoly money on these two sides.
Yeah. I think Toronto's going to come out fine tonight. Their fans are juiced up. There's going to be a ton of energy in the building. I like them -0.5 in the first period tonight. Alex made a great point about playing timid, but I think that they'll just come out flying. They've had a couple days rest here since Saturday, and I think Florida's got a little bit of a series hangover from beating probably the best team. It'll be interesting, but I do think that over in the first, or Toronto -0.5, and then the over in the game. I'm with you guys there. I think actually Toronto game 1 too.
Yeah, this is becoming a real thing. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a great look with that first period puck line, because that's kind of Toronto's calling card, especially at home, right? They will kind of play slow early, but they always try to get that goal late to capture that momentum heading back into the locker room. So that's not a bad look, even if there are goals early in that first period over cashes. But
I found it at plus 140 on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's a great price. But Toronto goal late, even in a live look too, if it's a tied 1-1 with 5 minutes left, a Toronto next goal before or next goal within that first period is not a bad look, because they tend to get those goals late heading back into the dressing room, and that kind of gives them that momentum in the second period. So that's a good observation to make, right?
Yeah, definitely. So, and like I say, the props, Montour and Riley, these two defensemen they have put their imprint on the playoffs offensively. I think there's great value in Montour props, goal point props, Riley goal point props for the Leafs as well. So those are good looks for sure. Like I say, the shots on goal props I mentioned earlier, and anybody that I recommend for shots on goal, I'll probably sprinkle on them for goals, assists, and points as well. Definitely, I think all of them worth a look here as well tonight. All right, let's go to the second game tonight. The other game one that is going to get underway tonight, it is the other West semifinal in Big D, Seattle Kraken, Dallas Stars. We've got Dallas minus 180 home favorites here in game one, 5.5 the total. I am not interested in adding anything more with Dallas. I like the team. Alex likes the team. But obviously, when you're looking at series price here, you're looking at right now almost minus 200, for the series price currently on the Dallas Stars. It's well priced. It's almost a little too well priced. And I like Dallas to advance in this series. But, man, just like the last series, Florida can beat Toronto and make it tough on them. And I think Seattle can make it tough on Dallas in this series with the four-line depth they have, with obviously, what they got in net from Grubauer, who is absolutely outstanding against Colorado. It won't be an easy series for the Dallas Stars, but at the end of the day, I think one thing that you want to keep an eye on here with the Dallas Stars is that I think unlike last year's playoffs, the Dallas Stars got let down by lack of crunch time, critical goal scoring. And timely offense was not there for Dallas. They just couldn't get goals consistently when they needed them. But now you look at what this team has at their disposal this year, and it's why they beat Minnesota. And their power play, by the way, you talk about power plays, Edmonton's power play, Dallas wasn't far behind. Dallas had a really good power play late in the season. It carried over into the Minnesota series. And now it looks like there's potential, at least. He's a game-time decision tonight that Joe Pavelski, Mr. Playoffs, is going to make his return for the Dallas Stars tonight and be in the lineup for game one. So now all of a sudden, you've got Jason Robertson, who got off the schneid late in that Minnesota series. You've got Rope Hintz, who was terrific. Tyler Seguin, equally good. Ben, the rookie sensation, Wyatt Johnston. Dodonov had, 4 goals in that first-round series. Mason Marchment stepping up, given that his offensive punch started to come back in the last 2 games of that series, and he plays on the third line with Domi. And now you get Pavelski back, who all he does is come through in the big games in the playoffs. That's a lot to have to defend, if you're the Seattle Kraken going into this series. Now, if you look at Seattle's numbers, this is the critical element. We talk about how it's important for Vegas to nullify Edmonton on the power play. It's equally important to do that for Seattle against Dallas. Dallas is a top 5 power play this year in the NHL, and Seattle is only 21st in the penalty kill department with penalty kill percentage. However, with a caveat, and that's why when I dug through and I handicapped this series, we've got to mention the however. Seattle is 21st in penalty kill percentage, which isn't good for the season. But in the playoffs, they're second behind Carolina in penalty kill, and they shut down Colorado's power play in the 2 for 18. Colorado with the power play in that series against Seattle. So, which is it? Is it the Seattle? What do you believe in more going into this series? Do you believe in the Seattle penalty kill that was, bottom third in the NHL much of the season? Or do you believe what you just saw in the first round against Colorado, where they held the Avalanche and that potent team to 2 for 18 with the man advantage? They better hope it's the Colorado penalty kill that shows up in this series for Seattle, because if it's the 21st ranked penalty kill that shows up for Seattle, they're not going to beat Dallas, all right, in this series. It's just not going to happen. So that is a critical battle in this series. How does that Kraken penalty kill fare against Dallas's power play? And especially when you factor in they were awesome against Colorado. Was that a blip? Was that Colorado not getting the job done with the power play? And is Dallas going to be different and they'll light it up? Or is that Seattle penalty kill that was so good in the first round sustainable? And it's something they'll be able to duplicate here in the second round. So I do like Dallas to win the series, but again, I'm not comfortable laying the price. And I've already got Dallas to win the West and the Cup futures. So I'm not going to add on more. And plus, I think Alex and I still have a Jake Ottinger Conn Smythe ticket that we still believe is very much live going into this series and beyond. So I like Dallas in the series, but I'm not touching anything here other than this is one where I was tempted a little bit by 6 and 7 games. Smaller sprinkle, though, because I'm not as convinced this is a 6-7 gamer. But then again, we just saw Seattle do it in 7 against the defending champs, and they're a feisty group. They don't back down. They don't give an inch. And like I say, I don't think Dallas is just going to roll through them, even though I like them in the series. What do you think here, Alex? West semifinal tonight and game one, for that matter. Speaking of game one, I like the over a little bit here in game one. And just because of the fact you're getting plus money now, I get it why it's 5.5 shaded to the under. I know Seattle defended extremely well against Colorado, and I know Dallas is capable defensively and with Jake Ottinger in net. But you look at series history, it was nothing but high-scoring affairs, Dallas-Seattle, head-to-head during the regular season. Lots of goals. So, and coming off Seattle off a tough 7-game series against Colorado, Dallas coming off the Minnesota series. They've been off for a few days, maybe a little rusty at the back end in this game tonight. So I like over 5.5 here at plus money here in game one specifically. Alex, take it away. Seattle, Dallas.
All right, yes, I'll start first with game one. I like the first period over. I grabbed 1.5 at even money. We've been seeing Seattle all 7 games scoring early, getting the goal in the first 10 minutes. Dallas plays much faster at home. We saw them cash a couple of first period over tickets in the first round. I definitely think we will see some goals both ways early in that contest, and that's a great number for it. As far as the series goes, like I said, I'm Dallas heavy. And like I said, I have Dallas to win the West. I have Jason Robertson and Jake Ottinger to win the Conn Smythe. But I'm going with Dallas on the series spread. Minus 1.5 games. I got plus 120 yesterday. It's now down to even money. I still would recommend that, but maybe play it a little bit smaller. And then I took 2 small shots on Dallas to sweep at plus 700 and Dallas to win the series 4-1 at plus 350. And here's the reason why. We still don't know what the scheduling is looking like yet as of right now. But based on what Climate Pledge Arena's schedule is, there's a concert on Saturday night and there's a Seattle Storm preseason game on Tuesday. Now, you'd think that would be fairly easy to move, but I'm not sure the logistics of that. Point being, there could be game 3 and 4 played back-to-back spots Sunday and Monday in Seattle. And this is something I've done years, and I've actually cashed with the last one that comes to mind is Tampa Bay knocking out Montreal in 2015, where that ended up being a game 3, game 4 back-to-back. Tampa Bay completed the sweep. So that's something I always like to have in pocket whenever I see this particular scenario of a back-to-back sandwiched into it, games 3 and 4. Dallas only needs to, play well for those 2 games at home and then at least get out of there with 1 in those 2 nights. And now, like I said, we have a plus 4 or plus 350, I should say, with 4-1 series win with Dallas as well. So that's more of a strategic kind of schedule play. I trusted Dallas to win this in 6 games. I took a shot for the series to end in 6 as well at plus 210.
All right, there. I like the little scheduling nuance you threw in there that there could be a back-to-back set of games in Seattle, 3 and 4 in this series, depending on the way the schedule ends up being playing out, and obviously availability at Climate Pledge Arena. So that could mean if Dallas gets the upper hand early, they might be able to go back to Seattle and potentially finish off the series quickly. But like I said, I think it'll be a battle for Dallas. I like Dallas to survive it, but I've got all the respect for Seattle. And I've got all the, to be honest with you, with Dallas futures, maybe I should hedge a little and put a little series price on Seattle, but I'm not going to do that yet. I want to see how game 1 begins and this series begins tonight. Ray, what are your thoughts here? A pretty interesting series here at Kraken Stars.
Yeah, no, I like Dallas like you guys, but beware of the underdog. This team could be a kind of, they just knocked off a really good Colorado team who everyone thought they had a chance at back-to-back. They're deep. What I really like is I got Grubauer at over 27.5 saves tonight for game 1, I think. But I'm with you. I'm also with you guys. I had to mention the underdog thing, but I'm with you guys. I think Dallas is, especially if Joe Papp comes back. I would think if he's questionable, he's going to play, especially with a concussion. That means he's gone full bore. He's had his contact day. I don't see why they would pull him out after warm-ups, especially if he takes warm-ups with a concussion. So he's been cleared. Yeah. It could just be a symptom thing if he can play with symptoms. I think Dallas. I like Dallas in the series. Alex, that's a great point. Dallas, the minus 1.5. Be interesting to see what happens with the scheduling thing as well. Sometimes if you can get momentum in a back-to-back on the first night, and the second night is maybe even a little bit easier after you win the first period of the second night. Sometimes you can get that sweep pretty easy. So, it'd be interesting, and I like Dallas here. So.
All right, liking Dallas here is Ray in this series, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Now that Pavelski might play again, I'm not going to bet it, but I did like him to be the leading goal and point scorer in the first round against
All right,
Minnesota.
yep.
Then he gets hurt, and he still might have because he got off to a great start in that series. But I'd be tempted by that again. We'll see how it plays out. All right, we're going to wrap up this show because we've got a bet cast tonight, and of course, Ray will let him get back to the beach and the sunshine of Florida in just a moment. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We'll be back to wrap up the show with best bets from me, Alex, and Ray in just a moment, right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner, with the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete Performance Package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there, and it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code ICEGUYS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, it is time for best bets to wrap it up for this Tuesday edition, but we're back in a few hours, of course, with the betcast. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with that Dallas Stars, Seattle Kraken first period over 1.5 at even money. I like it all the way up to minus $1.10. We're definitely going to see some goals both ways. It's going to be good intensity, good pace. Seattle, like I said, for the way that they were able to shut down Colorado's power play, that you got to take it in mind that the Avs were completely banged up, and most of their key guys that were out were key contributors on the power play. I think they're going to have a much tougher time in this series with Dallas on that man advantage. So let's go Stars Kraken first period over 1.5 at even money is my best bet.
All right, there you go. Stars Kraken over 1.5 first period. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. I'm telling you right now, early in the series for both Vegas and Seattle, critical they get some penalty kills. They kill off some power plays, because if it starts to look early in that series that Dallas's power play is rolling, Edmonton's power play is rolling, it's going to be maybe an uphill battle for both of those teams in those series. Ray, Mr. Florida, Mr. Sunshine. He's our ray of sunshine. Mr. Classy for that sportsmanship award. He's a bit of everything for us here on the Ice Guys. It was good to have him with us. Ray, what do you like for your best bet here tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I like Toronto minus a half at plus 140. I got that on FanDuel. See if that checks out. But that's where I'm at. I talked about earlier why I think that's going to happen, and I think that Toronto is going to come out flying. Florida's a little bit hungover from that series win, I think, and they got that underdog mentality that they should never beat Boston, and they're still riding that a little bit. And I'm looking at Toronto to go up early in the first. So.
All right, there it is right there. Toronto minus a half in the first period there at a nice plus price as well. If you shop around, actually, you'll get plus 140, plus 145 with that Leafs puck line in the first period. So there you go, Ray Bryce with his best bet. My best bet for this card, I'm going to roll with the over 6.5, Panthers Leafs. Over 6.5, minus 120. Every Leaf game in the Tampa series went over until it got to the elimination games in that series. I think you're going to see more of the same here. So Florida, Toronto, over 6.5, minus 120 for my best bet. No, Ray will not be joining us for the Betcast. He's in Florida, man. He's going to be he's been partying tonight on a Tuesday night. Where he is
we'll see. We'll see with that.
Yeah, exactly. But he might be joining us for another one down the road. We're going to have a bunch more of these, of course, between now and the Stanley Cup final. So he'll probably be on with us for one of those down the road, no doubt. Ray, it was great to have you with us. And like I say, hope you enjoy Florida. And then you've got apparently a bachelor party coming up this weekend as well.
In Nashville. One of my buddies I play with at school. So should be a fun little weekend.
That sounds like a great time. Bachelor party in Nashville.
A quiet weekend, as I like to call those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
No.
I'll be ready for the 4 a.m. text again.
Yeah.
In a drunken stupor of some kind, because I know it'll happen. Yeah.
Sounds good, my friend.
Good stuff, Ray. Stay safe down there as well.
Yeah, will do.
For the rest of your time on your trip. Great stuff. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, our special guest, Ray Bryce, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Ice Guys live betcast right here, presented by National Hockey Now.